Hello, beautiful people. We are back in the diary room, the diary room, the diary room, the diary room. Welcome back to the diary room, the diary room, the diary room. My name is just Chris, still Chris, always Chris, forever Chris, will forever be Chris. And I'm here with my lovely co-host, Ms. Mole.
Tis I. I'm Ms. Mole.
Hi, Ms. Mole.
Yippee.
Yay! And we are back in the diary room to discuss another action-packed week of Big Brother gameplay. I'm so excited.
What a
We're
week.
gonna jump right in. What a week we had. Starting with I guess a small recap of previous week. Last week we saw young Cedric.
No. I'm so
Moment
sad.
of silence for young Cedric.
Tears in the diary room. We lost a good
Man,
one. And he is why I wear hat. I wear hat of
Mole
shame.
wear hat of shame.
I feel so shameful. My
I
my number one draft pick, young Cedric.
Yeah,
Defeat. For how
defeated.
long do I feel defeated?
We'll find out.
Dun dun dun.
Because Sunday, we're still going. The game keeps moving, and we get well, I guess we should just jump straight into the HOH competition because we had a big one. It was
Whoa!
Wall,
Whoa!
Wall. It was Wall, and we have some interesting statistics about the Wall because this year was a little strange, I guess.
Out of usual wall
Wall
uh
stats.
wall stats that I knew we would need after watching this because the wall comp is iconic. You know, there's a handful of comps that happen constantly, and this is a staple of the show. But if you're unfamiliar, basically all the house guests they need to stand on this wall. They hold on for dear life for as long as possible, and they try to be, the last person standing, and others are the first person on the ground. And so, upon the first person falling, I had a feeling we would have Big Brother records, and boy, do we. So I checked out a trusty Instagram account, Big Brother Database, who delivered all of the statistics because, well, the very first person to fall was none other than Queen Angela on the ground within 3 minutes of standing on the wall. People last hours on this thing, but she was down in 3 minutes. And you know what? So would I. I don't
Yeah.
think I would last any longer than that. But previously, the record of shortest time on the wall went to BB24's Jasmine with just about 6 minutes. So, Angela,
I
congrats to
think
you. New record.
that the drastic cutoff in timing, like you can see there's like a point where these times start going down, and I believe it's because they're like either A, they weren't as harsh with the obstacles that they threw at them while they were on there, and B, apparently there's something prevents you from crouching now. Like before, people would like just kind of pop a squat, and that's why like we had in season 14, Danielle won after 3 hours, two and a half,
It
just
was
no, 3 hours, 196
196
minutes,
minutes.
3 hours. But I'm like, it's been a while.
Hmm.
I don't even think I don't think I've watched 14 in full because I am but a wee in 18, almost 19-year-old boy. However, I have seen a little clips of it of old competitions, and I believe that they were just squatting and stuff. So
At some point, I know they did. I also know some people were complaining, like when you compare other seasons, that they used to just not throw all the slime at them
that
as
too,
much. I know
because it's cold.
people said also that last year apparently it was really disproportionate, which is why I guess they get to pick where they are on the wall because people were saying that Quinn and Tucker chose opposite ends of the wall because that's where they thought they would get the least amount of slime. But it seemed pretty proportionate. It seemed like they got really
I don't
attacked this
really think
time.
it matters. I don't think it
So
matters at all.
maybe it didn't work out last year, but they definitely fixed it this year and everyone got attacked. But what's funny too is last year the winner also had one of the shortest times at 43 minutes. That was Jared BB25, and his mom Suri was one of among the shortest times at 9 minutes. So the shortest times have been really short, just under like 15 minutes in the last, I guess, 5 seasons, and they've had it pretty consistent the comp since season 12. It looks like they skipped 11. They weren't
They
in the mood.
skipped 11 and 16, I believe.
And
No, not
16? Oh,
16.
yes, you're right.
Yeah, they skipped 2 seasons, I saw.
And previously, so also the same season that Danielle won with 196 minutes, it looks like it was Mike at 70 minutes was the first to fall. So the first to fall in season 14 was 70 minutes. And here in BB26, the first to fall was 3. But we're also looking at a record for the shortest time to win the competition as well. And thus, we have our HOH winner of this week. I'm sure everyone was really surprised when they found out that none other than Tucker won HOH.
Hmm.
And Tucker is the HOH for the week. Second place was poor Quinn losing to the enemy.
I feel like Tucker is just the antithesis of everything that Quinn stands for. But it's so funny because Tucker is one of the only people in the house playing an honest game.
Mm-hmm. My gosh.
It's so funny because like I feel like production. Well, actually, as of lately, I feel like production has before Tucker was in the spot that he is now, production was definitely making him seem like the bad guy. And now he's kind of just like
The guy.
the guy. And all of the members of the Pentagon seem to be the enemy. Um, and the fact that Tucker wins this is just so funny because, well, not funny because I have to listen to Brooklyn complain for 20 minutes, but funny because Quinn always has the greatest reactions to getting outdone by Tucker.
When oh, I don't know which time in the week Quinn did the thing where it sounds like he's in Mario Kart. That comes later. I'll have to find it. It's so funny. He goes, "Wah!"
I'm pretty sure that was on Sunday. When he was talking, he was talking about how he got beat by Tucker. He was like, again?
Wah!
And "Wah!"
I'll have to find it. But also important to note because when Cedric went home, technically Quinn was HOH, but then also Angela was also HOH. Everyone got to play. And
Yes.
I mean, everyone put that together because the highlights were Angela falling first and Quinn falling second to
Second to
last.
last.
But I thought that was interesting too because a lot of people were wondering if they would be able to play or not because HOH, in theory, they wouldn't have
Imagine,
known it
yeah, I
was
was
Quinn.
gonna say, would they be the first ever HOHs? Like, would Quinn have been, well, not really, but like theoretically, if Angela were to win this competition, would she be the first person to ever be HOH 2 weeks in a row? Like, what would happen if she won?
Back to
I guess we'll
back
never know.
HOH wins. I don't know. Oh, yeah, we will not know
I guess
because,
we'll never know
in fact, it was
because it
Tucker.
did not happen. Was that during the nominations? I heard the music in the background.
I think it might have been, but
There was the music. Did you hear
it
the
was.
bass line?
Yeah, that had to be then. But I just
That was
love the
like
sound.
nomination music or veto music or something.
I don't know how to read the username, but Mariana on Twitter posted Toad when he gets hit with the blue shell in the middle of Moo Moo Meadows. Oh my gosh. We'll get to
Well,
my feelings on Quinn later,
yes.
baby.
But other than that, silliness aside, it's time for Tucker to start plotting and planning.
My gosh.
Obviously, he's got to be the most wild card to ever wild card. And obviously, the whole house thinks that Quinn's his target, and he knows about the Pentagon, and he starts to toy with them all, mostly just Brooklyn, Cam, and Quinn, and they have this little. It's very like Tom and Jerry esque, the way I see it, because
Mm-hmm.
he's telling Quinn, "You're not my target," and he's telling Brooklyn and Cam, "You guys are the pawns,"
Mm-hmm.
and Quinn's the target, and he obviously we know that Quinn isn't the target because unless we honestly didn't because Tucker has messed with the audience before, so they could have easily pulled a little trickeroony again.
He gives them lots of material
Yeah. He
to edit whatever as they please.
This week they did a little better than the last time because honestly, I had no idea what he was gonna do. And by the end of it, we get nominations of Quinn, Brooklyn, and Cam. And and we get that amazing moment from Quinn.
One more, one more.
One more time. And we gotta add that to the soundboard. We gotta add it to the soundboard.
Y'all, in a couple of weeks,
Once we get the
we will
soundboard, it's
be
over for
we
y'all.
will be in the studio. I can't wait. Wait. I need to put my phone down. Continue.
Ah! And Tucker tells the rest of the house that Quinn's his target, and obviously because and then we're on to Wednesday. It's time for Wednesday. What happened on Wednesday?
So, the best bit of the week happens on
We
Wednesday.
always have an amazing bit of the week on Wednesday.
Say what you will about Angela. I love her.
Mhm.
I love her.
I'm
Apparently,
I'm
she's
in her.
she's okay with the Facebook watchers now. I've heard.
What do you mean? Like the
Like
people, like the parents and stuff who
like the
were like
parents,
mad
I
about
guess.
her, but with Matt.
I know I
Yeah.
found Twitter pretty split, but I did find the most Angela lovers on Twitter.
Yeah, I was gonna say I
Angela
feel like most people on Twitter love her just
Angela
because.
haters are on Instagram.
Yeah,
But someone on Twitter said that she's good with the Facebook crowd, and I'll take their word for it, whoever this may be.
I don't think she's good with the Instagram crowd yet.
Not at all.
I don't think so.
But I don't care. But now
Yeah.
now they're on her side about one thing, and it's what we're about to talk about. And I'm taking over because this was the funniest bit, but
No.
also made
Take
me.
it away,
I'm
Mo.
I'm ta-
I was fuming at this too.
don't mess with the woman's charcuterie board. Do not do it.
Especially if your name is Brooklyn.
Brooklyn. So Angela,
Brooklyn.
like we know, was technically HOH last week, despite not being able to put anyone up. But that means that Angela received all of the perks of getting a letter from home, getting music, and most importantly, getting a whole fridge of food and all these snacks. And so Angela had all of these snacks and food from her HOH reign, and she didn't finish all of it because it's a lot of food, right? It's left over. And then naturally, as we discussed before, she was the very first one to fall off of the wall in the wall comp, which also made her a have not for the week, which means she goes from being the top of the house, kind of, to being at the bottom, and she's a have not, can't eat the food that she was gifted because she's limited to slop and select other things. And so I would have forgotten about the have-nots because they never talk about them anymore, which is so frustrating. But this week it came up because she had a lot of meats and cheeses to create a charcuterie board, like salami and
Cracker
cheeses and crackers. But there are certain things that would go bad in a week's time when she was no longer a have-not. So Brooklyn took it upon herself.
But like, I need to say something.
Say something.
Because it wouldn't have gone bad in a week if she just kept it in the fridge. It would have been fine. And like she said, she did say this. Get to the moment where she's sitting on her knees. Moral of the story, it won't go bad in a week.
I
And
think
Brooklyn is the worst.
Brooklyn takes it upon herself to just eat it. And she's like, it's gonna go bad. So I'm just gonna eat it. I don't think she actually asked Angela.
No,
Because
obviously.
Brooklyn's doing this, by the way, while Angela's sitting at that weird table. I don't know why they did it like this. Like the island of the season is like this really long table with like really high chairs. The
Yeah.
name of them is escaping
Like
me.
a diagonal chair.
Like a
I mean, the
weird.
diagonal table.
It's like on a curve. It's the weirdest thing.
Yeah.
But they're sitting, and Angela's like, "Why are you? Why are you doing this? Like right in front of me? You're gonna do
Right in front of her was crazy.
right in front of her." And I think Brooklyn was with someone else too. Was just kind of like piecing it together. I don't remember who,
I,
but Brooklyn was the meanie in this situation that forces Angela to walk away because she doesn't want to look at this anymore. But she decides to lay on the ground in the living room. She's so dramatic and I love it. Now she's laying on the ground in the living room staring at the ceiling, like pondering life because Brooklyn's in the other room eating her charcuterie board. Obnoxious. And if that alone, if no, there's no other gameplay, though Brooklyn does other stuff later that we'll get to, this is the first indication of, maybe Brooklyn's not a great person. And so even on the Instagram crowd that doesn't like Angela, and I saw like pretty much word for word a lot of comments, I don't like Angela, but I hate Brooklyn more for this.
yeah.
I wonder if there'll be more of that sentiment later on in the episode.
Because the problem with Brooklyn is like she acts like she's this big shot and like the greatest player to ever play the game. And I'll see you in the HOH competition when I win HOH this week, and you're all under me and blah 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 blah. But you haven't won a single competition this entire time, and you've been very bad for like not even like getting close. Like she hasn't
Mm-hmm.
even placed well or done well in any of her competitions.
No, no, but watch out for her. She's gonna win.
Yeah, and she don't, don't, piss off a mom from Texas. Shut up. Ah!
That was clip two. A lot of the podcasts that I watched are like a married mother scorned was the name of their episode. I think that was Rob as a podcast.
Uh,
But I mean, honestly, she was pretty under the radar as far as I was concerned, but really messed up last week with the Rabina and versus Cedric vote because she said to Rabina, "I'm sorry, there's nothing we can do," as like one of like an ally in the house, and the next thing you know, Rabina stays. It's all over, and now she's got to be like, I as like everyone does. I have to win this HOH, and then you know what? You didn't, and now you're not safe. You're on the block, and you're eating the charcuterie board of someone who honestly is one of the closest allies to the HOH. I don't know if they'll know it.
they definitely do.
They have to.
Because what else? Yeah, like
So then
why
where was the
else?
thought process?
Where what would the she has no thought
There was
process.
no thought.
She
It's just
doesn't have one. She doesn't have a thought process.
she hates Angela because she wants to be the only mom in the house.
Mm.
That's
She
what I think it
probably
is.
does. I wouldn't put it past her to be that petty.
I think that was Brooklyn's whole brand. I mean, it was
It
like
was.
a
It,
married mom from
married mom.
Texas. I don't care that you're married or that you're a mom. You're a meanie,
Yeah.
weenie,
You're a married, you're a
married.
mom, but that doesn't mean you're not a meanie.
And she gets even more mean later on in
Oh,
the thing, but we'll get back
I
to
have
that.
thoughts about that. Let's get back to the gameplay.
Then we get to my next
More
note where I don't
gameplay.
know how to spell.
The
I want
more Tom and Jerry. And Mole wrote in our notes that Ticket told Cam and Brooklyn that Quinn is the target.
you know the HOH this week ticket.
Yeah. Ticket, the HOH, he's been in the house the whole time. What are you talking about? Like what?
Oh, another new
Um,
player. We just got Cam
yeah.
this week.
I was just thinking the same thing.
The amount of memes on him later in the
I've
week.
literally I literally said that last night. I was like, man, I don't think Cam has done anything this entire time, bruh.
We're on this episode, and
Episode number 18.
and on Wednesdays, like the first time I see any screen time because they have to give it to him because
And
they're
he
gonna
still
play the
did
veto.
nothing.
But there's first the ticket line
Ticket.
where again all the episodes kind of blend in, but the note was that Quinn is dumb. That's my first note.
Quit
Period.
is
Quinn is
dumb.
dumb.
Quit
And
is dumb.
then Tucker or Ticket tells Cam and Brooklyn that Quinn's the target, and then Tucker. Oh, we established that. But Tucker told Quinn that Brooklyn's the target. But is this when they talked about it?
So this is basically another Brooklyn sucks moment. Um, it all boils down to that
There's a lot of that
because
this week.
yeah. So basically, um, well, Quinn also kind of sucks here because so we had Tucker and Quinn's conversation where Tucker tells Quinn he's not the target. And Quinn's like, well, who could be the target? And Quinn takes it upon himself to go warn Brooklyn about how, like, you might be the target and you're probably going to be, like, going home if Tucker is not lying about this. Because why would he be lying, like saying this to the house and saying this to me in private, right? So smart thought process. Like he saw through it. But
Mm-hmm.
Brooklyn then takes it upon herself to go throw Quinn under the bus.
Mm-hmm.
And then Tucker is like, well, if they're both disloyal to me, then who he basically has to choose versus trash versus garbage. And since he knows that he can beat Quinn and Brooklyn has this excellent social game, which I don't really like. That's the one thing that kind of irks me about Tucker because like why he just makes all these assumptions, but like half the time they're half right anyway.
Hmm.
Um, but he's like, oh, well, Brooklyn has this great social game and I can already beat Quinn, so I want to still get out Brooklyn. But he thought about it there for a second because they both snaked each other.
Hmm.
This very back and forth. And now we get the veto.
Yippee!
Yippee! Veto time. And it is a week of iconic competitions. More icons. Hide and go veto is back. That didn't do
Oh,
that last year, right?
I don't think they've done it since the
They didn't.
pandemic
Yeah, I was gonna say they
started.
haven't done it in a long time because I don't
Yeah.
remember they doing it on season 24 either because I did watch season 24 and I do not think that they did it. However, it's back. It's
Mm.
better than ever.
Is it?
This not really
I would
because
hate this
Brooklyn had to
competition.
play it and
Yeah. Yes. Oh, she's the reason
she
I'd
made
hate
me
this
so
competition.
mad. So mad, but it was great. It was great to see her. Little spoiler, she did not win. We'll get to the winner, but it was great to see her lose.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mm-hmm.
if she won, it would have been raps. I think I would have actually like tapped out for the week. I think it would have been over for the week if she won, but she's not smart enough to do that.
Ha. Ha.
Uh um however, we did get hide and go veto and
Mm. Mm.
uh
I make faces for I hate this comp. Like I like watching it, it's fine. If I was in the house and the competition was hide this thing and so everyone could destroy my living space and I just
yeah,
have to like
deal with
nod
it.
through it and then deal with it later, I would hate it so much.
Yeah.
But I mean, if to highlight who was picked, right? So Tucker chose himself. So he gets to pick another house guest to play, and he does pick Joseph.
Yeah.
And
I love Joseph.
I'm honestly I'm still kind of neutral on Joseph, but every time like I see him get airtime, I think it's funny.
It's
His
so funny.
his
He's actually just the best
he's actually so
entertainment.
silly. I think I have a soundbite for later in the week as well. But Mackenzie was also picked. I liked Mackenzie's hiding spot, but
I did too.
Tucker figured it out in
Saw
like
right through
two
it.
seconds. So basically, they had like the a chip that they
Planters.
had to hide in the house, and then everyone hides theirs, and then the house guests go back in to find someone else's. And Mackenzie thought it was a great idea to hide it in the plant right by the door to the backyard, and that was like the first place that Tucker looked, which was so funny. But a problem with this comp is that people destroy the house looking for the chip.
And the thing is, I want to know nobody, nobody was in favor of destroying the house. Nobody
No one wanted
but
to.
Brooklyn.
Who is evil?
Evil, evil woman. She hides her veto in the worst spot imaginable because why would you hide your veto in someone who's playing the veto stuff? They're gonna know if you touched it.
He
That was like
immediately
the
knows.
dumbest move ever. Because like I'd understand if it was like somebody who's not playing and you hide it in like Angela's stuff. But why would you put it in Quinn's stuff? He's literally playing.
At this point, she's so blinded by wanting Quinn to be the target and just it not being her. And she
She's
also
probably
is so mad at Tucker.
yeah, she's mad at Tucker and she can't make any smart decisions to save
Mm-hmm.
her life.
Yes, especially what she does during the comp. Would you like to explain that, or would you like me to?
Oh my God. So she tried to the first thing that ticked me off was when she tried to make herself be like Brett and she was thought she was being so funny with the defense thing, but when Brett did it, it was actually funny because he wasn't doing it with malicious intent. Um, and he was going he was actually hiding his stuff. And when Brooklyn did it, she just decided to throw trash
Evil.
all over the floor and throw T-Core chemos and Tucker's clothes all over the floor. Um,
Unnecessarily.
Absolutely unnecessary. I'm surprised we didn't get anything from Chemo and T-Core about
Well,
that.
do we get much from them?
Did we? Did they say anything?
I feel sometimes they get to talk because they've been at the center of like votes moving, but the bit
Yeah.
we don't hear much from them at all. I'm not rooting for them, but they're just still
I
kind of
feel
in the
like
background.
the thing about them that's crazy is because like they don't get they don't get much screen time, but the screen time that they get is very important.
It's
And
true.
I really like that about them because you can't say that they're floating because they made the biggest move and well, one of the biggest moves because we had a lot of big moves this season. But get the decision to flip the vote on Cedric was 1000% there. That was all them.
Hmm.
And they're calling the shots from deep below the surface, which I think is really cool,
Yeah.
and I like them a lot for that. So points to them.
Yeah.
Love you guys.
But we need more. And I'm
But
hoping we get more
yeah,
soon.
they did do a little more this week. They got
We're on an
more on
upward
that later.
trend.
More
Upward
on that later.
trend.
But
But now we're still in the
take it,
veto comp.
give it to Brooklyn to be the worst ever.
So that was my least favorite part of the comp. My
Yeah.
favorite part of the comp was Joseph,
Joseph.
who says, I don't even plan on winning this. He's like, I don't even care. They get like 2 something minutes to go back in the house and look for other people's chips, but he decides to spend his time picking up the garbage in the kitchen that Brooklyn tipped over, which I thought was great. He's like, I'm not gonna win this anyway. I may as well take a minute to clean things up. So by the time the next person came in, I was like, oh, like everything's all over. It was actually a little bit better because Joseph spent his 2 minutes cleaning up the kitchen. I thought that was very silly.
Yeah.
I mean, like things are bound to move, whatever, be misplaced, but
Hmm.
they were all talking about how they don't want the house to be a complete mess because sometimes it gets really bad.
Yeah.
And then there's Brooklyn. Well, as you said before though, she does not come out victorious.
Yeah. We had a very silly outcome to this competition. The first card to be found was Brooklyn's. And by none other than the man that she hit us in the stuff. Quinn, dumbest move. Why would you ever do that?
He looks at it immediately,
He
and the
was like,
funny thing, he's like, my clothes would never
my
be that
clothes
neat.
would never be that neat. It's all packed up in my bag.
I
It's
won-
usually just sitting there on the floor.
I wonder what happened. I wonder if anybody went through my stuff.
His live Quinn reaction to seeing his stuff get magically cleaned up.
It was ridiculous. She
And then
tried to cover it.
I
It did
think
not
it's so
work.
funny that all of the Pentagon members who were competing found another Pentagon member's um card because Brooklyn found Quinn's. No, Cam found Quinn's, and then Quinn found Brooklyn's, and and Brooklyn found Cam. That
You remember more than I do with that, then.
was I
That's
thought
so
it was
funny.
just like the cherry on top. And then Tucker found Mackenzie's, and I believe Cam found Joseph's because Joseph's was the last to be found, and Cam was the last person to find one.
Which is so silly,
Which is
because
so
again,
funny because
Joseph's like, I could care less. Like, I don't, like, I think he didn't want to win it. Why
Yeah.
would he want to? Like he could just lay low, he's chilling, he's aligned with Tucker.
Yeah.
He doesn't need to be worried. And then suddenly he's in second place.
Hey, it would have been so funny if he won. I would have liked that a lot. It would have been some resume.
He would not have liked it. I
No,
don't.
he probably wouldn't have.
He would have
But
rolled with it
it would
though.
have been silly nonetheless. And who else to win the competition but Tucker again? Which was like
What?
the cherry on top of this week.
That
Um,
Brooklyn's out first.
Brooklyn's out first.
Tucker
Tucker wins.
wins.
She was pissed. Her face was,
A mother scorned.
oh my, wow. She was so mad and it was amazing. And where else did Tucker hide it? Tucker hid it in somebody won when they hit it here before. He hit it. I remember specifically. I don't know what season it was, but I remember somebody hid their card this place in between the the slot in between two drawers. So you had to open up two drawers right in front of the front door to the house.
Hmm.
And the only way to get the card was to open up both drawers. But I remember somebody either, I don't know if they won or if somebody's hidden it there before and either won or like it took them really long to find it because the other person just had a great hiding spot too. Something
Hmm.
like that. But I remember somebody's hidden their card there before and he still won.
Well, Quinn went for it.
Did
Quinn
he?
was trying to hide his card somewhere around there in the drawers and couldn't
Oh,
figure it
yeah.
out,
And he put it in. Yeah.
which
What
was really
happens
interesting. Like they
if you
both had the same idea.
what happens if you find someone else's card when you are hiding it? Like, do you just like mentally note it and hide it and then just like go back out and find it immediately when you come back in, or can you just like bring it out?
I think that may have happened once,
Yeah.
but I can't back that up either.
I would think that they
That's where
probably wouldn't bring it out regardless, and they just like mentally note it, and when it's their turn to go in, if it's not there, they just
Mhm.
go grab it. Like,
Remember at the beginning of the season when people described themselves as a step below a super fan? It may have even been Brooklyn, I don't remember. I feel like that's me where it's like I know things that happened. Can't tell you when or who did it
when
or
or who,
where.
yeah.
Like
But I
but
remember it.
I think there was a season when someone went to hide theirs and they found someone else's and they're like, "Okay, I'll come back for that." And then they moved theirs. But then I feel like I may have also heard that production goes in to move them and put them back. But the more I think about that, I don't think that makes any sense. Because like, what if Tucker hit it like really well, and then someone were to take it out and put it back in? That doesn't make a lot of sense. But that's where I feel like it may have had something to do with the pandemic because they'd have people like come in, and that's why they haven't done it. I could be making all this up, but either
Yeah.
way, Quinn and Tucker had the right idea. Just Quinn couldn't execute it, and even knew that he hid his stuff in a dumb spot, and it was found, and then, thus we have Tucker. It's the funniest part at the end of it too is when they have to go in and reveal where it was, and everyone's like, "Ah, I should have looked there, but you didn't." And now we got another Tucker win, and then we have a Tucker looking at his clothes.
Oh gosh.
And then the house goes about cleaning the house, fixing the damage, while it's another Tucker is mad at Quinn moment for putting his clothes all over the place, and Quinn was not having it. I thought it was good. It's like don't accuse me of that. And Tucker was very set in this, and Brooklyn's just giggling as she looks on, saying nothing. And it's funny because then Tucker is complaining about how it had to have been Quinn that put his clothes all over the place
Yeah.
to Chelsea, who's like, yeah, like who else would it have been? It was Quinn. And then Brooklyn ends up admitting it to Chelsea and they're giggling. I'm like, wow. I hated that. Like It may be because I really like Tucker. I also really like Quinn. Quinn was like at the top of his game and then is so not at the top of his game. And it's just one of those like kind of moral things at this point of like, don't accuse me of destroying your belongings. I did not do that. And to be
Yeah.
accused of something that's a little bit more than game at that point. And
I
that's what I
think
think
that,
Brooklyn did. That was more than
yeah.
game. That was
No,
just
because Brooklyn
mean girl.
genuinely dislikes Tucker as a person for no reason because she's just a petty ugh,
Individual.
individual. And she decided, which if I was Tucker, like at this point in the week, actually, I don't know. Um, I don't really think Brooklyn was mouthing off to him at this point. So like he probably wouldn't have been able to put two and two together yet. But he never found out. He might, well, probably not now.
Is this the point actually when they talk on the balcony?
Who?
Tucker and Quinn.
About?
The clothes.
Yeah.
Okay,
Because he
then I'm
was like,
right.
tell me if you did it. And Quinn was like, no, I didn't. And he believes him. So
I'm glad that they had that moment. Again,
he
it's because I'm
probably,
really rooting for both of them as
yeah.
like people. I don't know. I really love Quinn. And
I
this
have
is
no idea what's gonna happen. Because I feel
mhm.
like Tucker is just toying with him.
At this
Like
point,
at some point he's gonna like he's for all we know, he'll take him to final two. He very well might take him to final two. And that one might be
enemies
like
to lovers.
that might be like the closest vote ever because like they both had like such a crazy season.
Wow.
But
That'd be
like
something.
regardless, we get the veto meeting now.
Mm-hmm.
And Tucker decides to make the entire house awkward by airing literally everything out. Not like we haven't heard it 30,000 times before, because everybody knows about the Pentagon. Everybody knows about the not well, everybody didn't know about the collective actually. That's not true. Um, and so he basically tells the entire house about the Pentagon and the collective. Um, and Quinn, whether I don't know if the yeah was now or last episode, but either way, Quinn is is shocked to find out that Tucker is going to use the veto on him. And Tucker used the veto on Quinn and replaces him with Chelsea, of all people, because she's the final member of the Pentagon who has yet to be on the block. And he also thinks that she is running the show, which is another one of his weird assumptions. Which this one is kind of just like a little wrong, but like who cares, I guess. Because he also names Brooklyn, which Brooklyn kind of is. She's like the social battery behind the alliance. So, final votes by the end of Wednesday is Brooklyn, Chelsea, and Cam. Oh, new house guest. Where did he come
New
from?
house.
And go moving into Thursday.
Moving to Thursday. Um, yeah, that's like quite literally my first note.
We start the campaign, but who better to campaign but the newest house guest?
It, it was really weird. I have no idea what day we are in the house, but it's at least day 30.
It's like
We
day
are,
30, episode 18.
and and I we finally hear from Cam. It's really funny, and I know it was like a bit online and whatever, and the memes later are so funny. We'll get to it. It was so strange hearing him talk in the diary room. It was legitimately weird. I know, again, week one, our joke was that Matt's parents were brought up more than Rabina had airtime. But Rabina's got airtime
Rubina
now
has, yeah, because she's all
because
with Quinn. I
she's
mean, Tucker
with Ticket.
with Ticket.
But we did not hear anything from Cam. My and the interesting thing is too, I feel also like a week, let's say a week and a half ago, all three of the nominees I thought were sitting pretty. And like Brooklyn and Chelsea especially, I think we're doing pretty well in the game, but their names were not brought to light. And now it's like, oh cool, like you guys should pay attention to these two because they're doing a pretty good job, but not just simply floating through. And then there's Cam. Like he's aligned with people, I guess. He's just there. He's just there. So now
Yeah.
we hear him. I was impressed though to know I think you said he found two of the chips
Yeah.
during veto at least. So
Hmm.
I don't know if anyone paid attention to that, but it's like, oh look, you did a thing. It just
Yeah.
so happens to be that his wasn't hid the best, but that also means that he found chips the best.
Hmm.
That's all we've got on Cam. It's like, oh look, he
Yeah.
found two chips. This is what he sounds like now. Welcome in new house
Welcome to
guest
the
Cam.
house.
And that's our first bit of the night. I have post Thursday bit on
I
Cam.
think we'll probably start seeing more Cam after this week.
I mean, that would happen
Hopefully,
anyway, because the less house guests
the
there
less house
are,
yeah.
the more screen time you get for the others. But it would be funny if like someone like him makes it to the end and it's just like, oh, by the way, you didn't exist for the
I'm
first
still
X
here.
amount of weeks. Just smiling.
Yep.
Go Cam.
And we also got a little Quinn and Chelsea back and forth this week. This was kind of a little underwhelming. This is very, very cut and dry day, honestly. Quota meeting. So Quinn and Chelsea were talking, because she thinks that Quinn threw her under the bus, which I wouldn't put it past him, but he didn't actually tell him anything. I don't know why Tucker, he probably just did that on, you know, now that I think about it, he's probably doing this on purpose. He's probably making all these unsubstantiated claims just to create more chaos.
Tucker?
Yeah,
Yes.
don't you think
Yes.
so?
I think so.
Because I
I mean,
feel like he says a lot of stupid stuff, but like I honestly like at this point he's got me fooled.
bro is already the instigator. We don't need a
He's
twist.
already the instigator.
No twist needed. We already have one. They should be disappointed that they wanted people to vote on the instigator this whole time. That's our big twist. You already have one in Tucker, and he's not afraid to show it. But
He'll
he's
do it
been
in
like
broad
that.
daylight.
He's been like that since he was trying to figure out who had the two powers. He was really good at figuring out that one was Mackenzie, but he was really caught on the second one being Lisa, and just straight up was like, "You have the power. Tell me about it." And she's like, "Well, no," because she didn't have it. But like, what was the harm also in just throwing that out? I mean, she's not in the house anymore, but he got one. He was one
Yeah,
for two, and so just throw these ideas out there, see what sticks, and if it's true, then it comes to light, and if it's not, it makes people think. Literally, already the instigator. Continue.
exactly. No, but you're right. Like I
Exactly.
feel like it's interesting to note because now you have this discourse between all the Pentagon members who are actually the way whenever I see them like meeting, I think about the scene in SpongeBob and his mind where they're all like they're trying to find the what are they looking for? Where
The
everything is on
name.
fire. Yeah,
The
they're
name. We
trying to
forgot
find
the
his name.
name.
They forgot his name and they're all sitting at like the fiery desks and his entire like that's what I see when I see the Pentagon together because that's what they are. They're they're actually just the most dysfunctional alliance ever now
Hmm.
because they lost probably their second strongest member to a blind side
And
and they just keep losing to one person.
good
I
job,
would
guys.
go I would go crazy if I was getting beat by one person too. If it
Hmm.
was a 5v1, he's been doing this for what week is it?
we're recapping five.
So he's been public enemy number one since week what, two? And
Hmm.
he's dug himself out of a hole
Hmm.
where he was no better than completely cooked
Hmm.
since week two. And now where are we?
The square gone.
Complete lawlessness. I think that if you can say what you want about Tucker, but you can't not say that he is. I mean, if he wins this season, he's easily the best player to ever play the game. There's actually just no competition.
It's his game to lose right now, where we are at this
The
moment in
only
time.
person that can lose the game for him is himself
Hmm.
because he has a strong base of allies. He has Angela, he has Rubina, he has Leah and Mackenzie at his fingertips. He has, honestly, I wouldn't put it past Quinn to do one more favor for him,
I was gonna say that too.
like just to keep the facade up. Like, yeah, he said at the earliest moment that he has to take him out is what he said. But if he wins, like if he wins the HOH, I wouldn't I wouldn't not think that he doesn't put him up because I feel like the only way to get rid of him now is just to backdoor him.
Hmm.
But I would think he would
Yep.
put him up just to give him the chance at taking himself down again.
Hmm.
But anyway,
Enemies to
the
lovers,
lover,
Chris.
enemies to
I'm
lovers.
obsessed with this trope. It's not
I
even funny.
it's it's just it's it's actually so on display.
Yeah.
Um,
But one more note on this kind of insignificant meeting that we were talking between Chelsea and Quinn, where she accused him of telling Tucker about the Pentagon, and then Quinn admits that he only told Chemo and T-Core. What I did like was that Chelsea was really upset with Quinn and still is like that still equates you throwing me under the bus, was like had a good approach about it. I was like, well, I'm in a really bad spot right now, so I can't go off on
I
Quinn.
can't. Yeah, that was
I
so
thought that was
funny
good. That was really funny. And like, I'm glad that she thought of it
because he's
because
still voting.
exactly. And
He's
other
still voting.
people may have just been blinded by being upset at somebody, like someone like Brooklyn who destroys somebody's clothes. So a little check mark for Chelsea, who I don't dislike.
I've always liked Chelsea since day one, even after the Pentagon blew up. She hasn't been like besides her allegiance to Brooklyn, like I haven't really had any qualms with her. Um,
Yeah. I feel like she's still doing well. The only downside is now she's obviously on the block. She's, looked at. Not necessarily the target, but a
a target.
possible one. Because also at this point, before we go into the arena, I think like no like who would vote out Cam? Like at this point in time, what has he done to have people dislike him? He hasn't really done a lot for people to like really favor him either. But just by association, he's just kind of chilling. So like I think even then Chelsea is to know. Then it's like, well, it's me in Brooklyn, especially if they're being accused of running things by Tucker in front of the whole house during the veto meeting. Wah!
What?
But thus, hey
Arena.
Irina. And I wrote down the name of it this time, so I remembered it was the digital descriptor. I have
This
thoughts
is
about this comp. What are your
I
thoughts?
I didn't really I didn't love it, but I mean like it's an AI arena, so it has to be short.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess like they got to keep coming up with different ways to do like a 2 minute competition every week, which is kind of difficult, honestly.
Well,
I feel like it
clearly,
would be a lot harder than you would think
it
to
clearly is
come up with
difficult.
a short competition, an extra short competition every single week. Like I'm not surprised that it ended up being this way, but digital descriptor, whatever that means.
So my thought
What are
was
your thoughts,
it
Mole?
was it was it was another comp where it probably would have lasted longer because it is hard to come up with a comp that's so quick that isn't just like the same thing every week. Also, note I'm pretty sure this is the first time that any of them are competing in the AI arena,
Yeah,
right?
yes.
So new comp there.
Actually, I think this is Chelsea's second time. Actually, no, that I might be wrong. No.
I think this was the first for them.
Yeah, I think it is.
So they had to look at these screens, which is a common thing in the AI arena, where they had to like look at the letters that were kind of jumbled and match them to an image that they have to match with another image. But my complaint or the thing that I noticed the most was that they have these descriptors and they're kind of dancing on the screen and they're moving along by like the second half of the comp, they end up just putting the words
Yeah,
on the screen.
backwards. They
They
made it
just
easier.
they just put it there and they let it sit there because they couldn't put it together. They made it the easiest it could be. And they're still like, I don't know. And now I can't say that I wouldn't know I would win the comp. I feel like I would be awful in like all of the competitions ever.
I feel like this one wouldn't have been that bad. Like, especially since like after they put all of them on the screen backwards, like I read underwater, like it was like super elephant, which is what they were struggling with. It said
Mm.
super elephant, and like
Bro, it was right
it
there.
was literally on the floor. I was pointing at it. I was like, it's right there.
If
It's
only they would
on the
listen to you,
floor.
Chris, then they would know.
Yeah.
And because production at some point too was probably like, okay, guys, you need to finish the competition now. Please use your brains. And in the end, there was one who used most brain, and that would
None
be
other than Chelsea.
none other than Chelsea. And I was honestly,
And this was the sealed deal
I was rooting for
because
that.
yeah, I was also rooting for Chelsea because that means all of the plotting that the house did beforehand about, oh, well, what happens if Brooklyn wins and we have to choose between Chelsea and Cam, or what happens if Cam wins and we have to choose between Chelsea and Brooklyn. Now it doesn't matter because now we can just send Brooklyn home for free.
Bye,
Bye bye.
Brooklyn.
Bye. The entire house was dead set on sending Brooklyn home, just like I was. And everyone understood the assignment except Chelsea, unfortunately. And by a vote of 8-1, Brooklyn, you are evicted from the Big Brother house.
All right,
That was like
it was
it
it was
was
great.
catharsis.
It was great.
Absolute catharsis.
Because the thing is, the whole week they painted Brooklyn as the villain. But if you think about it, it would not be easy to paint someone as the villain if they did not do it themselves.
Yes.
Therefore, goodbye.
Yeah. Even when Tucker was the villain, it was still ambiguous in a sense because like he wasn't lying to anyone. He was just doing things weird.
Yeah. No, I mean, some of my favorite bits of the night too. It was when okay, so Brooklyn's eliminated. They do the goodbye messages and
I didn't.
they air Angela's. She's like, "This is because you ate my charcuterie board," and and Brooklyn's still on this hill of well, it would have gone bad. And if that's your mentality, I don't like you. Like as a like, I'm sure
It
she's
wouldn't have gone bad though. You keep it in the fridge for a week, it'll be fine, bruh.
mhm.
That's what I was mad about because why is she just gaslighting herself into thinking this?
I don't know. But she has convinced herself that she didn't do anything wrong, which is funny and kind of shows perhaps a
That's how
little bit
much she's a
more.
narc.
I was gonna
She
say
might be a narc, man.
it shows more of her character as a person. My favorite funny moment, aside from that, the voting itself, was Joseph when
Joseph.
he. Wait, I think I have the clip of it too,
Yeah.
because a couple weeks ago he called Julie Chenbot
Chenbot.
to her face, but
What
this
up,
week.
Who is this?
Chenbot?
Hello, Joseph. Who is this?
Who is this? I hope he does that every week. He
And
needs to have a
so
new bit every week.
and so I was really neutral on Joseph, I can't lie. You were really,
I've
really in for
always
him
been
from the
high on
start.
Joseph.
I
I
was
saw right through it.
I was not so sure, but you know what? He made me giggle, and so therefore I'm rooting for Joseph right now. And honestly, also Chelsea and Brooklyn were close friends in the house. So it's I'm like, the vote, I think people are gonna know that Chelsea voted to keep Brooklyn, but I think that was just a friend moment, which is something that Brooklyn, I don't think Brooklyn would be as bad in the position that she would not be in the position that she ended up in if she voted to keep Rubina last week. Because supposedly Rubina and Brooklyn were tight, and was trying to tell Rubina, hey, as a friend, I'm gonna let you know that you're going home tonight, and there's nothing I could do. But
Hmm.
then at least if she did like the pity vote thing, which I believe that's what Chelsea's vote was, then Brooklyn would have ended up on the correct side of the house. Never would have had to tell Rubina it was a pity vote. Just had to be like, yeah, I voted for you anyway. I stuck it through with our friendship. Then she would not be out of the house this week. I don't think.
I
I
think it
think.
was a
Mm,
little weird how, I mean, not weird, but like it was like kind of strange that they honored this they honored the 5 points alliance. Like they brought that, they kind of like mentioned it more times than I would think, than you would
mm,
think. And they like actually used it as a reason for many of the moves this week, which was like an interesting point. And I think that falls back on what you're saying right now, because like Rubina and Tucker and Brooklyn was supposed to be in that alliance, and Tucker
mm,
was like, "Well, you went back on the 5 points," which is what that I guess like that's what he was talking about in that
mm.
time. But
The most
yeah.
ridiculous part of I love talking about the show and I get really passionate about it. The alliances, it'll never click for me. Who's in what? I just know someone's kind of close to this person. Now it all makes sense. Because it's true, she went behind, I mean, even more than just Rabina. It is the
Well,
whole group.
I think the only alliance that's actually stable right now is Sixth Avenue, because that's the one with Tucker, Joseph. That's Tucker, Joseph, Angela. Tucker, Joseph, Angela, Rubina. Um, who else is there? T-Core and Chemo, I believe.
I think so. I want
I
to say
think it's
so.
them two.
Which is funny because that was the one that was made just because Angela's like, I want to be a part of your group.
Yeah.
Good for
And
Angela.
now look where we are.
Good for
And now look
Angela.
where we are.
Because also, like, don't mess with Tucker's girls, Rubina and Angela. Like both of them. I love
And now
Tucker
he has
Angela
Leah and
moment.
Mackenzie wrapped around his finger too.
Go Tucker. Like I can't even be. I mean, I like him. I mean, he's on my team too. But like, you can't even be mad at him for any of this. How could you be mad at him for any of this?
When does a jury start?
Jury. It's a great question. Because sometimes they move it.
Yeah.
I think last year they had like they moved it a bit. I'm not quite sure. I also don't know when some people are like wondering. I mean, we'll mention too. There's a 2 hour episode coming up this week, speculating why we need 2 hours. But also,
And
yesterday they re-aired uh the live eviction. So who knows what CBS is going on with?
and we have a delayed airtime tonight at
It's true.
9:30. And it it is the HOH competition for the next week and the AI instigator stuff. So you'll see all that and more at a later time this week.
but still a time.
but still a time, 9:30 Eastern. Other than that, do you have any final thoughts on this week, Mo?
Well, we do have to go over the
Our
draft
draft.
update
The draft update.
because I am wearing a hat of shame right now for I lost my dear young Cedric, my number one pick for my draft. But this week we lost Brooklyn. No tears in this household,
No tears.
unless it is the
All
tears
celebration.
Oswald.
Oswald not crying. He probably didn't
Our
like her either.
yeah, our beloved, our Ainsley Oswald lost. I'd say a real one, but not. Lost one this week, maybe for the better. Brooklyn no longer in the household, which means that Oswald is our next have not, and I am a have again. Yippee! And Chris and I both halves. Goodbye, Brooklyn. And this means that right now I'm still kicking with 5 house guests, and Chris is 4, and Oswald is but 2. Unless Ainsley is, pushed into the house, then Oswald has.
If in the end, Ainsley is the real winner because she is not getting evicted. She's not an eviction. She can't be evicted.
It's true.
Oswald will be a winner regardless of the
Oswald
outcome.
shall prevail. And thus, that was this week in Big
Concludes.
Brother.
Big week. Huge week, massive week.
Will we have
So
another?
excited for next week. Well, depending on who wins the HOH tonight.
Dun dun dun.
Dun, dun, dun. Tune in at 9:30 to watch the next episode of Big Brother on CBS. Thank you so much for listening to the Diary Room. I hope you all have a wonderful night.
Bye.